My name is Dr. Glenn Obligacion, my wife Dr. Ellen, and I have been with CCF for the last 38 years. In 2003, I became one of the pastors of CCF and was given the privilege of handling different ministries over several years. During a family retreat in last 2010, I heard for the first time directly from my wife and children about the emotional wounds I have caused each one of them. I was told that during our regular family meetings, I would display pride and unforgiveness. I was unwilling to listen and understand them and would often judge them. Despite repeated exchanges of apologies and forgiveness, I continued to wound my family with my words and actions. I pleaded with God to take control of my heart, and I also did my part to improve. I tried to listen when they would share things from their hearts. I intentionally went out of my way to reach out and rebuild relationships with them, all the while praying that God would give my children the grace to forgive me and that He would completely heal our relationships. However, I still sensed that my children's hearts were far from me.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabo. I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. For 7 years, I served as a worship leader, a campus missionary, and a youth coordinator here in CCF Maine. Having grown up in CCF, I had always heard it taught, including by my father, that we are to humbly admit when we are wrong and ask for forgiveness. However, whenever we, his children, would point out a character issue of his or try to correct him, he would respond with anger, defensiveness, denial, or blaming others. As his children, it hurt so much to see him teach the church about humility, but then display pride at home. This made me feel like our family life was fake and hopeless. While I tried to grow in my relationship with Jesus, I was also harboring bitterness towards my dad for his hypocrisy. I then carried these wounds into my ministry life. I was critical towards my ministry leaders. I told myself that I would not end up like my father or my authorities. But because my motivation in ministry came from bitterness, this led to more pride, and this pride led to lust. And for so many years, I struggled with secret sins that I became the very thing I hated the most: a church leader who was a hypocrite. The pandemic came and led to more intense arguments and clashes at home, but one day, the Lord deeply convicted me that I was dishonoring Him. I spent time confessing my sins, forgiving each person who had hurt me, including my dad, and recommitting myself to the Lord. Immediately, I confessed these realizations to my parents and siblings. They responded with grace, gentle words, tight hugs, and tears of joy. I saw that the Lord used my confession to further encourage the need for vulnerability in our family. I saw the Lord softening my dad's heart as well, because he started asking me questions like, "Son, what could I have done better so that you would have felt more comfortable to open up to me?" My whole family journeyed with me in my lowest moment as I healed. And during this time of healing, the Lord led me to study in a seminary named IGSL. It was here that the Lord sent me a Christian counselor who's been meeting with me weekly for the past 3 years, helping me process everything that's happened to me so that I could continue growing in God's grace and forgiveness, especially towards my family. Although I had stepped down from ministry at that time, I gained a restored fellowship with God and a renewed relationship with my family. The greatest healing that the Lord has done is how He has helped me view my father in a more gracious and understanding way. I realized that Dad was adjusting to the expectations of being a Christian husband, father, doctor, and juggling the pressures of being a pastor as well. Today, I have a renewed love for my father and for my family. By God's grace, today I get to enjoy serving alongside my dad, something I never thought I would be able to do before.
The Lord has made me realize that parenting is a lifelong process. As a follower of Christ, I am supposed to lead by example. However, I failed to do that with my family. I now realize that I need to watch the tone of my voice, stop using sarcastic words, listen to understand instead of listening to reply, and I need to acknowledge whenever I'm wrong. Colossians 4:6 says, I need to let my speech always be with grace, as though seasoned with salt, so I will know how to respond to each person. My heart rejoices that I can now minister not only to, but also with my son, Gabo, for God's glory. I learned that families can be restored. We only need to focus on Jesus, humble ourselves, and be intentional in our ways. Praise God that He is in the ministry of restoration. To God be the glory.